Yesterday, someone asked me a question after he watched my YouTube video, TD Bank Stock Hacking Journey 2018, August 31st. So basically, he wants to know, he wants me to talk about a little bit more about invest to TD stock versus real estate mortgage, and also about the margin call. I think basically he asked a question about how to use the leverage in stock investing. First of all, uh, although I have been using leverage all the time since day one, but I don't recommend um, anyone, if they're new to investing, especially stock investing, to use leverage right away. I mean, first of all, I think you have to understand uh, the leverage, how it works before you actually use it. Self-made rich people, let's say self-made millionaire, most likely you will use leverage at one time. You will use other people's intelligence and other people's time and other people's money. So this is normally self-made millionaire will have to learn how to manage these resources. Okay, so back to the question: stock TD stock investing versus a real estate mortgage. Because I posted two videos about this earlier, and I think maybe this is an interesting topic. So today I just would like to give one more example. For example, this today, if you live in a GTA area, right, the average property is about $1 million plus. So let's say you are middle aged, you're typical middle class, and you have a mortgage about half million. Let's say just give a half million number. So roughly, you will need to pay, I believe it's around $1,300 or $1,400 every 2 weeks. And 50% of the money goes to your principal, and 50% is for the interest, which is the mortgage cost. So I would like to give one example. The mortgage is about 25 years, right? So if I keep pay the principal and the interest, after 25 years, I own the property. So let's say the property may be up. Let's say at 25 years, I give a 3-4% inflation rate. So maybe the price will be between $3 million or $4 million. But how about I only pay interest and I withdraw all the principal from the mortgage contract for the investment? For example, I still pay $1,300 or $1,400 for the mortgage interest cost, but I will take 13, 14, maybe between 13 to 1400, $13 to $1,400 to invest into TD stock. Just an example, to the TD stock. So basically, and because in Canada, everyone has the ISP, so you can get some tax credit. Say, for example, if you're typical middle class, then the couple both works, so you have enough room, ISP room, to contribute $1,300 every 2 weeks. Because you get a between 30 to 40% credit return, so roughly you should be able to contribute, let's say, $1,000 with 13 or 1400 because you put the money, pay the principal. If you use the same money for your ISP investment, right, you can contribute $2,000 because you have plus the credit. So roughly, you still own the property, you still keep your living standard. However, instead of pay off your mortgage principal, you decided to invest the money. So let's see what will happen. This is the tool for the US stocks. I cannot find a similar tool for Canadian stocks, but I select one stock, PH. So this is for 25 years, and for every other week you contribute $1,000. You invest $1,000. Okay, so the annual return is 13. I want to use this number because TD stocks, the average annual return is between 14 to 16%. So 13% is very close to what TD stocks long-term performance. So after 25 years, you will have 4 million, the total return. So this you can think about. If I only pay off my mortgage principal after 25 years, of course I own the property, right? But if I don't pay the principal, I only pay the mortgage interest cost. So after 25 years, if I can get an annual return 13% on my investment, I will have $4 million. So what happens now is, after 25 years, if I don't have any mortgage, I already pay 100% payout, so I 100% own the property. If the property price from today from $1 million become maybe between 2.5 to 3.5 million dollars 25 years later, right? Then compared to if I only pay interest, I don't pay the mortgage principal, I will still own a mortgage about $500,000. So let's say the market price of the property is about $3 million. So my net value will be $2.5 million. But because I invest all the money into a stock and I get a total return, so average return is like 30% a year, I have $4 million more. So in total, I will have $7 million instead of $3 million. So that's a good question, because $4 million most likely is more than a typical middle class 25 years income, because the average family income, annual income is about $85,000 in GTA area. So let's say you have let's say $150,000 annual income for your family, then 20 years is only $3 million. And don't forget that this $4 million is net. And your salary income, you have to eat, you have to spend money on the gas, the day-to-day living cost. So most likely you can save 10%, at most 15%. So I would think you will save probably $250,000. But this is a good example. Why? Because you still live in the same property. You still have the same living standards. It does not cost you any extra money to make this $4 million. So that's the value of, if you learn how to invest. You understand how, and you take action. With the same salary, the same living standards, you will make $4 million more. So this not even use the leverage at all, because you actually just use the money uh, instead of pay the mortgage principal, you invest. Of course, let's talk about the downside, the risk. Uh, so I want to give the worst case. You will TD Bank will bankrupt. It goes to zero. So you will lose all the money. But think about 25 years later, the average property price maybe is around $3 million, right? Today is $1 million. So what is the real impact or risk for you if you, after 25 years later, you have a $2.5 million equity in your property instead of $3 million? Not a real big difference, I would say. So the risk is manageable. But if you want to say, oh yeah, but how can because maybe I invest one stock and I lost all the money, and then it's still not good, right? So this I would like to give you some information to think about. Okay, this is from the Susan's blog. So for the TSX, for the 5 years period, the 5 years average return was less than 6% for 33%. And they also checked the 10 years and the 20 years. So if you look at here, if you invest in the Canadian market with the TSX market, if you invest more than 10 years, you have maybe less than 2% chance to lose money. So if you more than 10 years, most likely you will never lose money. Okay, this is other data about the TSX return. As you can see, for 5 years, yeah. So I want to check the 15 years, because the mortgage is 25 years, right? I want to say that 15 years. If you look at the 15 years, you never lose money. Actually, if it's for 10 years, you never lose money. So if you invest more than 10 years, you never lose money. And we are talking about 25 years. So basically what happened is if there's no third world war, no nuclear world war, then most likely you don't lose money. But of course, you have to really understand and believe it. Some people, they never trust stock market. Okay, so this is just a simple a random thought about the investing versus mortgage, and also about the leverage. But here we don't really use leverage, but just a different way to manage your money. I always try to tell my friends, because when you enter the middle age, you obviously you have some asset. If you know how to manage your money properly, I mean the money you already have, you don't need to save again. You already have. If you know how to manage your money properly, you can improve your living standards right away. This is what I try to tell my friends again and again. If you can manage the money you already have, you can become a millionaire right away. You don't even need to wait 10 years, 20 years. Just think about how much net assets you have. Most typical middle class, working class, you have more than 1 million assets. If you learn how to manage it, get a 12 to 15% annual return, this is will be more than $100,000 profit every year right away. That's why it's so important for you to understand and to learn how to manage your money. It is your money. If you don't pay attention to it, if you don't take care of your money, nobody cares because it's your money.